Hey guys, how's it going? This is Pawan Mer, and today we are going to be discussing the tips to how to sell anything to anyone. Alright, so there are about 8 tips in total, so I would highly recommend that you watch the entire video so as to take out maximum benefit out of it. So without wasting any further time, let's start off. So the first step is to actually create a buyer persona. So what is buyer persona actually? So buyer persona is basically creating a fictional character in your head, wherein you will be understanding the your target customers likes, his dislikes, gender, geography, what motivates him to actually buy a particular product, or what demotivates him to buy a particular product. And you can actually set up a fictional character in your head, so that once you have your product or service in place, you exactly know who your product or service is going to be sold to. So this will make your marketing and sales campaign really optimized. So having a buyer persona is extremely important even before having your product or service in place. So that's there. Now my second tip is to actually take a good time and day to speak. Now once you have your product or service in place and you want to demonstrate it to your target audience, you have to have a particular time and date in place to actually talk to that particular person. So for an example, I used to sell high-end e-learning programs for a company. So what I used to do is, once I got the lead, I used to drop them an email asking for a particular, first of all I used to thank them for inquiring on our website, and then secondly, in the email I would ask them to give me a particular time and day to actually speak to them, so that I can make them understand the product features, how it can actually help, and most importantly, what pain points would the product would actually solve for them. So taking a time and day to speak to them is extremely important, and it actually looks really professional in your end, is because you are actually just not wanting to sell your product or service, but you are actually willing to solve a particular problem for them. Now my third tip is to not take nothing for an answer. Now what do I mean by nothing? So let's say if the person hasn't read your email, or your email just got ignored, you can now try calling him once on his mobile, and there would be two kinds of situation which would happen here. The first one would be that the person would pick up the call, and the second one, obviously, the person would not pick up the call. So now let's understand what to do if the person picks up. So once the person picks up, you can start off by saying, hey, this is Pawan from XYZ Corporation, and I saw that you actually inquired for our particular product, and I just wanted to understand if you have got all the information about the product which we have. Now if he says that yes, he has got all the information about the program, you can now continue the conversation by asking him, all right, so what are your thoughts on it? Do you have any particular question for us for that matter? So you can continue with the conversation like that. And if he mentions that he has not got all the information of the program, to continue the conversation by asking him, all right, so what are your goals, or what do you want to achieve by taking this particular program or service? Then he would make you understand what he actually wants, and then you can actually go on with the conversation. So that is what happens. Now what to do if the person does not pick up the call at all? So what you could perhaps now do is, you can just drop an email once again with the subject tried reaching you, and mention that you tried reaching the person on the particular cell phone which he has mentioned, and ask him if it's the correct phone number that you tried reaching him to. Okay, so that is the first. And secondly, ask him for a particular time and day this week. Now mind you, you should be asking him to give a particular time and day to speak to him this week itself, so that you are boxing him and you are not giving him an option or choice to push the first conversation date to the next week, or probably say 15 days for that matter. So if you do not box the person, it would be a very high chance that the person would give a very vague time and day to actually contact them. So that is that. It is very important to box the person and ask him if it's a good time, what would be a good time to talk to them this particular week itself. So that's that. Now my fourth tip is to do a background check. So once you have started to get in touch with the person, or you have gotten the time to do a physical meeting, what you have to do is, you have to do a background check. Now I understand that you have already done the buyer persona, you have already created a buyer persona, so why do you have to do a background check once you meet the person? So the reason is buyer persona is very generic. So a buyer persona will mention that the person is 30 to 35 years old, is from the IT industry. His motivation is to switch jobs or whatever. So that would be a buyer persona. But doing a background check would be more narrowed down. So you would be getting his exact. You'd be able to get his exact dates, what does he do in IT, then what kind of job does he want to actually get by probably by buying your product or service. So while buyer persona is creating a very generic kind of profile, understanding the background of the person once you have gotten into a call or a meeting would be more specific. Now my fifth tip is to summarize the entire conversation which I have had. So once you are done with your call or you are done with your physical meeting, what you have to do is you have to summarize the entire conversation which you have had over an email, so that let's say the person is busy or is keeping busy for the next 3-4 days after the meeting or call you have done, the person can refer back to all the details which you have discussed about the program or service. So you can perhaps attach a brochure as well about your company, about your product or service which you provide, so that you can easily refer to all the details about the things which you offer. So that's going to be the tip number 5. Now my sixth tip is to actually keep them engaged. So what do I mean by that? So let's say once you are done with the call or conversation, the person gives you a follow-up date, say after 10 days or 15 days. So this is actually a very long time frame to have the next follow-up. But let's say he is going to be on a vacation or is going to be extremely busy with his work. What you could perhaps do is you could keep them engaged over emails, or if he has given the permission, you can drop them WhatsApps or iMessages as well. So by keeping them engaged, what I mean is you can actually send them blog posts from your website. You can send in customer testimonials. You can actually send them various ebooks and various tips and tricks or videos about the industry which you guys deal in, so that if he gets this particular sort of content every 3-4 days, he still has all the details about the programs or services which you provide in the back of his head. So you are not particularly letting him forget you and the conversation which you guys have had. So that's there. Now my seventh tip is to be really persistent. So we guys are engaged, right? So we have to be really thick-skinned, and we have to be extremely persistent in order to be a successful salesman. So you even if you do all the things right, there are going to be some cases wherein you are not able to convert the person or you are not able to close the sale. But this should not be bothering you at all, is because your the constant efforts which you have made in the earlier 6 points, and if you have followed the earlier 6 points, there's a very good chance that you have made a lasting impression in front of that person. So you have to be persistent enough, and you have to believe that even if this particular person doesn't close right now, you will have the particular chance in the future, at some particular event, that the person would convert and you would be able to close that sale. So the kind of a kick which you would get after closing this particular sale after a long time with your persistent efforts is going to be way greater than you have with a normal sale or an easy sale for that matter. So that's there. Be persistent. Now my eighth tip is to be really good at after sales communication. I know most of the companies have customer service departments in place, and they take care after the post sale services and everything. But you as a salesman, since you have had the chance to have the first communication on behalf of the company, you should be making sure that you keep in touch with the person post sales as well. So you could perhaps during my tenure, what I used to do is once I've sold that particular e-learning course to that person, I still used to be in touch with them for at least 8 to 10 months in post the sales as well. And I used to constantly ask them what is his feedback on the program, are they facing any difficulties, if they are having their birthdays, or if there's some sort of festival which is going on in the country. I used to wish them on their birthdays, and I used to wish them about the festivals as well. So you have to keep that kind of a rapport going on with your with a person, and this is going to be leaving a really lasting impression, and that this actually makes the person feel that you are really genuinely interested in giving good quality products and services, and it also creates a very lasting impression about the company in general. So yeah, you have to have great after sale communication. So that's about it, guys. So I've discussed 8 tips on how to sell anything to anyone. There are a lot more aspects such as negotiation, involvement of your seniors during the call or conversation, etc., etc. There would be products enhancements, there would be constant upgradation of the system, etc. There are going to be a lot of aspects involved in an entire sales process. So if you have any particular specific query or you are stuck somewhere, please do comment down on this particular video so that I would be able to help you out with more such steps, and I can help you out on what to do in that particular situation. So that's about it, guys. If you like the video, please do drop a like button, and if you would like to subscribe on the channel, please do it so that you get constant updates about sales, marketing and personal branding in general. Thank you so much, guys. This is Pawan Mer. Cheers.